Welcome to Hospitality Talks. My name is Sam-Erik, and next to me is my co-host Abid Butt. How are you doing, Abid?
Very well, thank you, Sam. I hope you're enjoying the last few days of summer and fall season in Helsinki.
Well, the fall season has really hit us a little bit hard. We have 80 but 30 meters of second wind, and we got some rain going sideways. So I really feel the autumn has started here.
So you putting away the summer clothes and the winter jackets are coming out.
Oh yes, absolutely. Listen, I think we have a great guest now because I'm reminiscing. I have some fond memories when I lived in US and before when we saw that we're going to have our guest here today, and he represent a sort of a brand that has been around for a long time. I remember staying in one of those few hotels when I was transferring from Wisconsin to Nevada. So those were the days when I used several times the hotel brand, or Motel brand, I would call it. So I'm really excited about getting to know our guest and see what's up here in the 21st century.
Superb. So if it's okay, Sam, let's get started. I'd love to bring Rob Palleschi, who really doesn't need any introduction, but Rob is CEO of G6 Hospitality. Rob, welcome to Hospitality Talks.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for taking the time to join us, Rob. It's a great honor. I know you took the helm of G6, a couple of years ago now?
Over 3 years. Can you believe it? And
wow.
Yeah, it's it's been fun. It's been a fun ride.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Rob, let's just quickly recap, if you don't mind, 2019 for our audience and for us. If you wouldn't mind telling us what was on your to-do list, how did 2019 went? How did it end? And what did you have on your hit list for 2020?
The old days, 2019, ancient history there. Remember the years. No, we had our plan rolling into 2020 was to continue this journey that we had set out a few years ago, basically to focus our efforts on building a best-in-class franchise network, supporting them with the franchise partners with the right tools, the right resources, training, et cetera, to be successful. So build that brand. The second part of that is to move a little bit more to an asset-light model. We've had hundreds of hotels, a lot of real estate, and we wanted to really right-size the portfolio. So we've been selling assets every year and converting those assets to franchises under long-term license agreements. And the third key component was really to build and continue the journey of building a best-in-class technology platform that is all cloud-based, app-based, really agile and low cost, and really helps our franchise partners succeed. So that was the goal going into 2020, and I'm happy to report we've stayed on that goal. We're still focused on all three of those things. Now more than ever, it's important to stay aligned with your franchise partners and really help them succeed. Now more than ever, I'm thrilled to be able to sell some more assets. Sell some dirt in this economy isn't bad. And our tech platform has really helped us, not only to maintain low cost for our partners, but also take a look at some other opportunities that are out there for revenue growth by being agile and flexible. So we've largely stayed on track despite everything that's happening out there. We're pretty excited about that.
Well, that's fantastic. I guess you are one of the very few that have been able to stay the course. A lot of the work that you had done, the groundwork that you had done leading into our current year. I guess it's playing dividends. So hats off to you for being able to do that.
Thank you.
Have your priorities shifted in any way in the current year? Tell us a bit about how things have changed or evolved in 2020.
Yeah, obviously this, right? We're all talking on Zoom, or Skype or another, form of communication. So we're all distant. We, like others, closed our offices in March and have been working remote, which has proven successful. But as far as really changes in the business, I think the real big impact, aside from obvious, the revenue, aside from the impact on profitability due to the COVID crisis, the real change for us is we've had to slow our international expansion a bit. We've got great partners in Canada, and they continue to grow. But we're not seeing that growth as fast as we had expected. It's taking a little bit more time to get our properties opened in Central America and South America. So that's been a bit of a challenge, and we had hoped that we would be opening up properties again, Mexico, Central America, and South America, late this year and early next year, and for obvious reasons that'll be pushed back. So we're a bit disappointed, but that said, it's understandable, and we're going to continue to stay close to those franchise partners and see what we can do to help them not only push those openings a bit, but make sure that they're ready when the time does come. So I think that's really been the biggest impact. Is we really had hoped more international growth. And that's plans. I still think some opportunities for the future for this brand.
Fair enough. And there's lots to come. And as we all know, and it's been said, we will come out on the other side, hopefully stronger. We might be a bit beaten up, a bit bruised, but our characters would be much stronger on the other side when we come through. Rob, what is your stakeholder sentiment like, particularly the franchise community? How are they feeling as to how things are in the current environment, and what sort of help have they gotten?
Yeah, they're actually in good form. They are, our franchise partners are, these are hardworking individuals that are close to their properties, whether they own 1, 2, or 40 or 50 of our locations. They're all living the American dream to a certain degree. They've all, recently or, through family have moved to the States. They've built successful businesses, and they've weathered many storms. So this is one of many that they've experienced, and they're just continuing to plow forward. They've picked themselves up by their own bootstraps and help their businesses succeed. I'm excited that we were able to early on in the process jump in and help. In March, early March, we started conversations with our franchise owner advisory committee and saying, what do we need to do to help? And we knew there was the obvious choices of standards relief or pushing back PIP compliance dates. But we knew we needed to bring dollars to the table. And so aligning with those partners on our owner advisory committee, we came out with genuine fee relief for not only royalty fees, discounting those, we discounted marketing fees, and then we also came to the table with an incentive that would help with OTA business to keep those channels on by further discounting those fees at our cost. So standards, PIP, and then genuine fee relief, I think was helpful for them and appreciated. And we carried all of that through the end of the year. We didn't want to keep going back and forth and making some assumptions that we would be out of this come June, or we'd be out of it come September. We just figured, let's just carry it to the end of the year and we'll reassess in October. So that went well, and I think it's definitely helped at least give some sense of confidence and a sense of partnership. So
I'm sure the franchisees have appreciated this a great deal, because, as you know, it's all about survival, unfortunately, in these days. So any little support helps. And I think, quite candidly, I believe you are one of the only brands that have extended some of these subsidies, if I may use that, to your partners. So that is terrific. Rob, you talked earlier about spinning off some of the real estate side of your assets. I know a lot of the brand operators have gone through this. Help us understand some of the benefits and drawbacks. I mean, I'm sure there are two schools, whether the brand should or should not have the real estate asset. So help us understand what prompted that, and what are some of the benefits and drawbacks of doing that.
Yeah, I think we look at the other brands out there, the larger brands, and see how they've managed having an asset-light portfolio, a fee-based business that clearly plays well in the financial markets. That said, for me, overseeing this brand, I like to have some dirt. I like to have some real estate, keeping us close to the business, keeping us aligned with the owner's interests, having the ability to test new ideas, to test whether it be new renovation concepts or new services. I like having that close link. Additionally, I like having and owning some of these iconic locations that we have, whether that be Santa Barbara oceanfront, or whether that be downtown San Diego or Jackson Hole. I like having that real estate to stay close to those communities and to really stay in close contact with the brand. I think it does give us some credibility in our owners' eyes, knowing that we have skin in the game. And still today, we are able to say we're the largest owner and operator of Motel 6 and Studio 6 properties in the country. So I think that definitely helps us. But there are drawbacks. It's a challenge to manage from afar, especially in the economy segment, where you need to stay close to the properties. And in many markets, especially the remote destinations, it's probably better to have local owner operators there at the property that can put eyes on the properties each and every day, that can stay close to those team members. While our operators do a fantastic job of staying engaged and staying aligned, it's just difficult, from our standpoint. So our focus has been to slim down the portfolio, focus on high barrier to entry markets, focus on the those destination markets that drive high revenues and high EBITDA, own those assets and sell the other parts of the country. So we've successfully done that. And since April 1st, something that'll surprise many, in the audience out there, since April 1st, we've tied up 82 assets under contract, under long-term license agreement. And those assets are selling. So lenders are supportive, lenders are putting money out there, owners are investing and buying our properties. We closed on 4 locations in the Dallas market last week. We've got a couple more closings coming up this week, and we'll see that escalate and have a rapid number of closings late September and into October. So there's still an appetite out there.
Well, congratulations. I know
Thank you.
the transaction market has been really, really tough. So a question for you. How do you transact on brick and mortar assets when there are no real EBITDA margins, cap rates are virtually non-existent, comps aren't going to be there? How was it that you as a seller and whoever bought the asset were able to come up with valuations that both of you were happy with?
Yeah, we've got, as I mentioned before, we've got great franchise partners, and they have an appreciation for this brand, and they have an appetite for our products. Our brand for 58 years has remained true to the primary focus of low cost for customers, low cost operator for our owners, very, very simple value proposition, clean, comfortable, and affordable. And we've not strayed from that. We've not layered in additional amenities in rooms. We've not layered in breakfast costs or loyalty programs. We've focused on, basically what brought us to the dance to begin with, and haven't deviated from that. And our franchise partners appreciate that. So when a property does come to market, there's a robust bidding process. And they've been looking at our numbers. They've looked at our historical numbers. We've provided 5-10 years of data, and they recognize that this is a blip, and that everything will normalize in a couple of years. They're also pleasantly surprised when they see our current performance. Our system-wide occupancies are, in the 62-63% range. Year to date, we've only lost 7% in rate. So our RevPAR is pretty flat compared to many others out there. So they're pleasantly surprised by that. And I think what they also see is they know that being close to the properties as owner operators and being able to touch those properties on a regular basis, they can positively impact not only revenue, but they can positively impact the EBITDA margins. So they're pretty confident that there's a little sand in those bags available to them when they buy our locations. So again, I'm thankful to them for their continued support and confidence in the brand.
Oh, terrific. Rob, I'll turn it over to Sam, but before I do, have you seen any patterns developed? Is economy lodging outperforming some of the other sectors? Are there markets that you see bouncing back faster than the others?
Yeah, I'd say yes. I mean, we're seeing, all the numbers show economy has been performing well. I think part of that is our, we said early on in this crisis that, we needed to stay open. Our tagline, as everyone knows, is leave the lights on, right? That was more important to us, than ever. And it wasn't just a tagline, it was a way of life, right? We needed to stay open. And our customers, our traditional customers, are those that have supported this country during this crisis. They are the truck drivers, they are the factory workers, the first responders, the vets, the military personnel that are transitioning, that are keeping our country safe, and that are helping us during this crisis. So we knew we needed to stay open for them, and I think that's helped us with our occupancy, and I think that's helped a lot of economy lodging. Are those customers that need low cost, lodging, clean, comfortable, and affordable. So I think that's definitely helped all of us, and I think that trend will continue. I expect, like many others out there, I expect you'll see, economy lodging continue to serve as the foundation of growth in the future. I also expect that we'll see probably the higher end of this of lodging start to come out of this soon. The luxury properties where people have that pent-up demand. They're going to want that aspirational travel. When they're ready to go, they're going to go big, right? And so when it's time and all the countries of the world welcome travelers and all those resort destinations, I think those players are going to be very successful.
Awesome.
And hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. We all keeping our fingers crossed on that. Let me turn it over to Sam here for a few minutes, and I'll come right back to you, Sam.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. You have hotels or motels or hotels in internationally in Canada, India, and Central America. Could you just share what are your aspirations now for the future to expand internationally with your brands?
Yeah, I definitely, I would love to get that international engine going even more. We've got a great technology platform that is low cost, as I mentioned, but it's easy for our owners to use. Plug and play. Our Hotel Key tech platform is app-based, so our franchise partners, wherever they are in the world, all they have to do is really grab a tablet, download the app, and they can start building their hotel. It's linked up to our above property system, which allows them to control rates and inventory. So it's not a complicated, cumbersome startup process. And so I think with that as the foundation, with the global recognition that we enjoy as a brand after 58 years of business, it's funny, I was in India, earlier this year and talking to some people and I mentioned Motel 6 and they're like, oh, you'll leave a light on. I mean, it's just, it's always great to hear that. And it's surprising at the same time. It's like, wow, how do you, we only have one property here, operating, and yet they know our tagline, which speaks to the global recognition of the brand. But I would love to capitalize on that and grow this brand. Yes, definitely get those properties open in South America and Central America and continue to grow in Canada and in India. But I think there's other markets that we would do extremely well in. Going from India into Malaysia and Indonesia and into Vietnam and Cambodia. I mean, you could see our brand, thriving there, as well as coming up to your area, into the Scandic region. I mean, aggregating and franchising, low cost lodging is, I think is what's needed. And, outside the US, the brand is known as Hotel 6, simply because, Motel 6 doesn't translate, nor is there that historic knowledge of what a motel is. But also our properties outside the US in many markets have a restaurant, have a small bar, or have upgraded amenities that travelers expect of lodging, outside the US. So it's a little bit of a different product. But that said, the value proposition remains the same: clean, comfortable, and always affordable. Great. So we need to grow, and I need to. My passport has been sitting collecting dust. I need to get that thing fired up again.
Well, we'll need to get you over here. Absolutely. I also like to know then, in order for you to expand internationally, do you need to look at how to tailor that brand that it fits the particular market where you'll be located? Let's say maybe the travelers in Central America, for instance, they have particular needs, or for instance India. So can you share what are your thoughts on how to look at the tailoring the brand for a specific market? What do you look at?
Yeah, I look to, I guess I would say the best example of that is the partnership that we have in India with Oromatrix. Oromatrix, they own many of their own, they have their own brands. They also brought Days In to India. They also brought Aloft into India. So partnering with them, they've helped us not only from what the guest expectations are, they've helped us with those services that are necessary all the way through to design. What are the design touch points that we should focus on? And together, we're always with the mantra of, low cost, for operators and low cost for customers. So we can't be layering in, too many incremental costs. But they helped us a great deal. So I think the biggest thing that we're bringing to the table is we're listening. We're not going in with the assumptions that we know it all, because we don't. And I think it's important to partner with the right groups that understand the markets, that are committed to those markets, and working with them to ensure that the guests have a great experience, and that they themselves achieve their goals. So I think it's that good balance that's worked well for us. But I'd say India is probably the best example.
Very good. Okay, let me turn over how things are in the U.S. I read somewhere that you're a great supporter of the U.S. Army or the veterans, and that you have various recruitment programs for the vets and then the spouses. Could you share, particularly for the international listeners and viewers who are not familiar fully of what are your activities in U.S.?
Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for calling that out. We are proud to regularly be recognized as one of the top employers for veterans. We make it our focus to try to target veterans for jobs, for placement. Not only those vets that are retiring from active duty, but also their spouses. And how can we help them in the journey? And we've been very successful with that. And it's like anything else out there. You've got to establish goals, you've got to establish the process, and you've got to measure those goals. And you've got to, hit those milestones. And we're regularly looking at that. And I think that's helped us achieve the success that we've had. But everywhere across our system, from property management to facilities management to our safety and security team, our risk team, all the way through to the call centers, guest assistants. We've found that these veterans are fantastic to have on the team and to partner with. They're committed, they're dedicated, and really help us move the business forward. And no task is too great, and they've weathered every storm. I mean, when there was rumblings of COVID in late January, and we were seeing the trends, our head of safety and security, Mark Van Beest, a former Marine, immediately, started calling action and started bringing people together on, what are our pandemic protocols? How do we refresh those? What do we need to do? He just went straight to it, and it was seamless. And he not only helped the business by those actions and those activities, but he gave us all confidence in that we were doing the right things and a sense of calm. So when things did start going a little bit crazy in March, we were already prepared. We had our protocols in place. We were already communicating those. We were already training on those. So it was really helpful. And I think our success throughout this crisis is due in large part to those veterans that have not only helped weather the storm for this country for many years, but helped us weather this COVID crisis.
Well, that's really admirable, and really something very, very. It's really something which I respect and honor of what they're doing.
Thank you.
That you are doing, and their contribution. My final question really is regarding franchisees, the new ones who have said, well, I really like to give it a try. I want to have my own hotel or motel for that matter, and we like your brand and so on. For someone who is new to the game, you mentioned already that you have a lot of tools available, but could you share a little bit just of what kind of tools do you provide and what kind of training and learning opportunities do you give the new franchisee owners?
See, I think the way you framed that is a little bit dangerous now, Sam, because you're saying I and want to buy a franchise. So you're going to get bombarded with franchise disclosures. From every brand out there is going to start hitting you with franchise. You're going to have more calls in the next 24 hours than you ever wanted. No, look, we are proud of our years working with the franchise partners. Many of our partners, we gave them the first chance at a brand. They were independent owners and operators, and we helped them convert those properties to Motel 6 or Studio 6, and we've helped them grow. We've learned a lot along the way. Thankfully, we've got a senior and experienced development team led by Mike McGeehan, Jeff Stevenson, Tina Burnett. These players and individuals have been with the brand for many, many years, and they know how to help an owner succeed. They have those frank, candid conversations early in the process. They have regular conversations and dialogue throughout, helping them coaching and counseling. We have a brand performance team that's out there every day supporting a region. But you're right, it takes extra effort. We have to take those extra steps, starting with new owner orientation, and then rigid general manager orientation, and then regular follow-up and explanations of how the standards work, why the standards are important, how you manage to those standards. And it takes a lot of I don't want to say hand-holding because it sounds a little bit condescending for someone that's going to own and operate a property, but it takes some extra attention. And I think more than just the extra attention, it's those candid, frank conversations that you have to have early in the process to ensure that everybody understands. And it's all the way through to helping them, in some cases, with business plans to acquire that next property. In some cases, going to the bank and actually having a conversation with the bankers, explaining why and how what we've seen with these partners and how they can be more successful in the future. It's that extra step during a renovation process where we have a team of people that'll actually will remind our partners out there that no, this is how you orient the room. You need to make sure you've got the right square footage for ADA or for this or that. And it's not dissimilar from the other brands out there. I mean, everyone does a great job. Our whole industry has really raised the bar. But I think we pay some extra attention to that to ensure that those first time Motel 6 or Studio 6 owners buy and become multiple owners.
Very good. Well, thank you, Rob. I will bring Abid back now to the discussion. So over to you, Abid.
Thanks,
Thank you, Sam. Rob, you talked a little bit about the design. Are there any fundamental design changes that you anticipate as we learn to live with COVID and post-COVID era?
Yeah, I think I can't speak for the full service and the bigger mid-scale properties. I know they're dealing with these challenges, like daily and working through them. For us, our design will always be a very small transition type lobby. And transition type means check in and either exit or move through to the elevator and go straight to your room. We're never going to have a large lobby, not a meeting or gathering place. So that's more helpful for us from a COVID standpoint. It's also helpful that we still have a lot of exterior corridor properties where guests can go straight to their room, literally straight to their room, not going through, a big lobby or waiting for an elevator. You can walk up a flight of stairs or you can walk straight in. Many guests now appreciate that. What was frowned upon just a year ago is now back in vogue. So I think those types of things will probably stay for the better part of a couple of years once we get through a vaccine and once that's the virus has subsided and stabilized. But then I expect things will start moving back to normal again, where people will seek out the larger properties that are with the bigger lobbies and more gathering places. But from a design standpoint, our design remains streamlined, very efficient, not huge rooms, and just very functional for a guest. Easy to maintain for our housekeeping staffs.
It is, you're so right that these exterior corridor properties that everybody was trying to figure it out how to encapsulate those corridors and make them interior. Now they are definitely in demand. And I think that's going to be the case, at least in the immediate future. Rob, you have invested a lot of money in technological improvements. How has technology helped, particularly in economy lodging? How has it helped the business acquisition process? Is it simpler? Are your guests in the prototypical guests that you target from a brand point of view, are they embracing technology for making reservations?
Yeah, they definitely are, and we're our website, our mobile apps continue to grow. We continue to see more traffic on them. We're refreshing both those sites now. We're going to launch new ones in October. I think where we always have to be mindful is that it needs to remain simple and easy. We can't overcomplicate it with a lot of marketing offers. We've got to balance that transactional functional with the retail component of it. But it needs to be very simple, very easy, just like our properties. We sell one bed, we sell two beds, right? We don't have, a lot of locations that have got views. We don't sell, we don't have suites, except for our Studio 6 brand. So Motel 6, it needs to stay functional and transactional for it to, for the customers and the travelers to gravitate towards it. So we always try to keep that in mind, but at the same time, it needs to be always state of the art. We need to always be adding on new partners that are out there. We need to make sure we've got the latest credit card processing functionality. By keeping it simple doesn't mean that you stay stagnant. You always need to change and evolve, and that's the beauty of our platform, fully enabled by the AWS cloud, and everything being app-based. We are very agile, and so that helps. If we see something that's out there, if we want to do something with GoAbibo or Make My Trip, it's easier for us. That can happen pretty quickly. So that's first and foremost when we talk about technology.
Oh, terrific. Rob, let's talk a little bit about leadership lessons learned, if I may, dealing with this crisis. I know none of us have dealt with anything like this, and hopefully this will not be on anybody's playbook for a very, 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 very long time. But What sorts of leadership attributes have helped you deal with the crisis?
I find crying in the fetal position in the corner of the room really, really helpful. I think
that's universal.
Rocking myself to sleep, banging my head against the wall a lot is helpful as well. It's really important to stay in close contact. We probably, like everyone else out there, went maybe a little bit overboard on regular meetings, but we're still having our morning EC meetings. We're still having our end of the day, afternoon recap meetings. And, so staying in close contact as much as possible. We've learned some things. We don't want to see people at 7 a.m. in the morning on Zoom, so we do that via conference call. But communication has been critical. The second thing has been really to stay supportive and patient. Understanding that everyone is dealing with this a different way. Everyone has different struggles and trials at home. Managing work at home, with family, et cetera. So you've got to really be patient, with the team. And then I think the third thing has been, our mantra has always been, you're either, like everyone else, you're serving the guest or you're serving someone serving the guest. It's really been great to see how the entire corporate office team and the regional teams have rallied around supporting the operators out there, supporting all of the properties, helping them with calls 24/7 with whatever their needs are, and really serving as not only a sounding board, but offering counsel and guidance and helping however they can. So it's really, I think that's kind of been it. But I don't have any, there's not been any kind of genius or any kind of any revelations out of this whole thing. It's just really, follow the golden rule, and that's been it the entire time. And hopefully it's helped.
Well, Rob, you're a very humble man. I'm sure your leadership has indeed helped a great deal, because being able to manage a team spread out and also remotely, it is somewhat of a new field for all of us. So thanks for sharing that. Let's one last question. I know we've kept you here a lot longer, but
no, don't worry.
Talk a little bit about the mergers and acquisitions, whether it is on ownership side, people that want to own assets, and or on the brand side, folks that are aggregating brands. Do you see more M&As occurring? What would the industry look like in the future?
Yeah.
And I'm taking notes because I'm gonna bet on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's gonna be a fun ride. I think starting in next year, I won't be surprised if we don't see a lot of M&A activity. I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to want to try to capitalize on some of the discounted real estate. I think we all expect some special servicers to step in on a number of these properties. So I think we're going to see a lot of activity out there in the brand space and in the real estate space. I think it's important that it happens, and I hope it happens and starts happening sooner rather than later, because philosophically, I don't think we need, and personally, I don't want to see properties closed in New York City. I don't want to see properties closed in San Francisco or Hawaii. We need all those properties open and operating. And I understand why we would see a property, the Hilton in Times Square or the W downtown or the new Edition in New York. I understand, that makes sense. But We need those properties open. The whole industry needs those open, because that just shows how we are. We are resilient, and we will come out of this even better and stronger than we were before. And so hopefully, through whether it be time and some of those owners just catching their breath, or whether it be through M&A or what have you, we need to see all these properties opened. We need to see them all successful and thriving. I don't want, everybody is, constantly gives me a little bit of grief because, economy is having our day in the sun, so to speak, economy lodging, which is great, but I really don't want to see that, because I need all segments successful. That helps me. A rising tide rises all ships. And so I need mid-scale to be working and delivering on their promise. And I need full service and convention and those casinos fully operational for all of us. And we need those travelers back. If it's going to take maybe some special servicers and some M&A to get those things going again, then bring it on. But I'm hopeful that it's sooner rather than later. I'm hopeful that, these vaccines are out there and there's confidence, with travelers once again. We'll do things different, no doubt, going, into the future for the long term. Masks and plexiglass dividers and social distancing will probably be around for the long term, which is fine. And it isn't bad. But, let's get those travelers out there, get that group business going. Let's get those people in those meeting rooms and those casinos, and let's fill those restaurants. You'd be really happy about that. And I'm sure all the planes will be full, so our upgrades won't be honored because none of us have been flying. So we'll all be in the back of the bus, so to speak.
Well, the consumer confidence already seems to be growing, because this weekend TSA recorded nearly highest security checks since March or April, I believe. So it is getting better. Now, I'm not sure if it is the confidence or that everybody is tired of staying in one place, but whatever it is, hopefully we can welcome the travelers back safely and happily, so that our industry continues to thrive. It's a fabulous industry, and would love to have people back. Thank you for sharing that. Sam, are there any questions from our audience? I know there is quite a bit of activity, but are there any questions that we need to ask Rob at this particular point?
Well, there's one question that just came up, and is somebody who's viewing us in Facebook. He said, what differentiates your brand, services, and shared service versus other brands like Red Roof and RLH? That's the question.
Yeah, I think those are tremendous brands. They do, Red Lion, Red Roof, they do a great job. I think the biggest difference is I don't have a color in my brand, but I'm bummed. That was a bad joke, sorry. But, very, very similar. Both of those brands, though, they have some increased services and increased amenities, for their guests. And we do not. Our guest service value proposition is simply a clean, comfortable room. We offer morning coffee service, which has been suspended currently due to the crisis, but morning coffee service, and that's about it. Whereas Red Roof and Red Lion, they have some increased amenities and services. Great brands and good friends out there.
Truth be told, even most of the full service brands, because of COVID, everybody is sort of operating in select service mode, because none of the facilities are being offered at this particular point for all the right reasons, and hopefully we'll be beyond that before too long, so that we get back to the next norm. Rob, thank you so much. But before we let you go, we always finish on a positive, uplifting note. So anything that you have noticed in the industry, or possibly more important, anything that you might have found out about yourself during this lockdown time period that you would like to share with our viewers?
I'm surprised that my wife, after 32 years, doesn't like me home more. No, what I'm still inspired by is all aspects of this industry and the way we've rallied around a common cause. And when I say all aspects, that includes both of you. And includes the message that you're getting out and you're communicating. It includes the lodging magazines and the trade magazines, getting the message out. It includes those that are out there pounding the pavement with Congress, with the states, with all the various state associations. Everyone has been really working in lockstep, in common cause, to promote our industry, to promote safety of guests, safety of team members, and to really be good corporate citizens. And we've all really rallied around it. Yeah, we've all had a couple of different twists and turns and have had some, bang your heads against the wall a couple of different times, but largely this industry has moved forward. Thanks to, the AHLA and Chip and his team, with the programs, and AHOA, all these industry associations and the state associations. And again, everything, all the journalists that are out there, you guys that are driving this message have helped galvanize us as an industry, have helped us remain focused on what's important, has served as, information and inspiration. So that for me is I think if we can learn anything from that, if we could just carry that forward and not go back into our respective corners after all this is said and done, and continue to be better and continue to be stronger, more united, and help each other and grow this industry globally even more, bigger and better than it's ever been. That for me that would be positive, huge progress. And I think we're on that, on the cusp of that.
Well, thank you for that. That is a fabulous way to end our episode. Rob, thank you for taking the time. Your insight has been very valuable. Greatly appreciate your time to join us and sharing how G6 continues to grow and flourish. Thank you very much. Sam, over to you.
Thank you.
From my part also, thank you very much, Rob Palleschi, who's the CEO of G6. You are truly an ambassador for your brand and an ambassador for the industry. So all your valuable comments has been mostly appreciated, I'm sure, also by young hoteliers who are now on the way to bigger and greater things during their career. But I'd also like to thank all the YouTube viewers, LinkedIn viewers, Facebook viewers who have joined us, and also the replay viewers who are watching this live stream as a replay. So with further ado, we're looking forward to welcome you for our next episode. And thanks again from Abid and myself. And thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.